you're contemplating doing debt settlement, you can do it one of two ways. You can hire a company to do it, or you could try to do it on your own. Now, if you hire a company to do it, you want to make sure you understand what it is that they're going to do for you and how much of the debt they can settle. And if you don't understand those things, you might find yourself really not coming out of it in a better spot than when you came in, for a variety of reasons. A lot of it, if I were to go into a debt settlement, I think one of the biggest things I would consider is, number one, how much debt I have, and also how many creditors I have. What I mean by that is, if I just have one credit card that I've just been paying away at forever, and the balance is going nowhere, and I still owe $4,000, and that's the only debt I have, well, it's probably not enough money to file bankruptcy over. And there's really no point in hiring a debt settlement company. I could call that credit card and say, hey, look, can I just pay you $2,000 to make it go away? And they either say yes or they say no. There's no magic wand or anything like that. If you've got more debt than that, and this is usually when people go into these debt settlements with these companies, they'll go in and they'll hear, like you said, driving along on the road, they'll hear a radio ad. These radio ads sound great. They promise people that they can teach them the secrets that the credit card companies don't want them to know. They can get rid of their debts without having to file bankruptcy, is usually how they phrase it. And it sounds, wow, it sounds fantastic. It sounds like there is some kind of magic pill out there. And the real reality of the matter is that there isn't. What these debt consolidation companies will do is again, I like to speak with examples so you can kind of, I like to illustrate my point.
Absolutely.
Let's just say that you have $50,000 in credit card debt, okay? And you've been making your monthly payments, or maybe you haven't been, but either way, it's not affordable at the moment. You can't keep up with it. So you contact one of these debt consolidation companies, these debt settlement companies, sometimes they call themselves, and you say, hey, what can we do? And they say, well, great news. Right now, your monthly minimums on this 50,000 is about $1,200 a month when you add it all together. For $500 a month, over usually it's 3 or 4 years, we can make this go away. Okay, well, that just sounds great. Let's do it right now. Okay, great. And so you start to pay them $500 a month. And what they're doing is they're holding the money, just hanging on to it until they have enough money to settle with one of the credit card companies. So to make the math easy, let's say you have 5 credit cards and you owe $10,000 a piece, totaling up to my $50,000. So credit card A, they're talking to credit card A, and credit card A says, yeah, we'll take 50 cents on the dollar. Once you have $5,000, we'll call it even. And so you're paying the money into this company every month, and after 10 months, you got $5,000. Okay. Well, first of all, the company that you're paying has to deduct their fees, which are usually up to 10%. So really, there's only $4,500 in there. So you got to pay another month in. And then when they have that $5,000, then they'll send a check to company A, and company A then will forgive the other $5,000 you owe. Does that make sense so far?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it sounds like a good plan. You've saved money. And then once they've done that, they move on to company B, and then C, D, and E. And that's all fine. But there are some problems and some real landmines out there that the debt consolidation companies usually don't tell you about. One is that they probably won't be able to settle with all your creditors. Now, sometimes they will, but not always. And if companies D and E don't want to settle, well, you've got to keep paying them. And usually if you're doing that, then you don't have enough money to pay the debt settlement people. And so it doesn't work. So the debt settlement people will tell you, well, just stop paying them. We'll get to them. And actually, they'll tell you that at the outset, because most banks won't settle a debt until you're at least 90 days delinquent. So if you come into this program and you're current with your debts, they'll say, okay, well, don't make a payment for 3 months, and then we can start our process. So
can I ask you a quick question there?
Sure.
So they say don't make a payment for 3 months, and in the meantime, are you going from being a person that probably was making the small payments all the time, just wasn't whittling away the debt, to now having some bad marks on your credit score?
Yes, that's exactly where I was going with that. So when you stop making the payments, yeah, after 1 month, your credit score, let's say you're at 750. After 1 month of not making those payments, you're probably lucky to be at 680. And after 3 months, you're probably at 500. I mean, your credit score is tanked. That's not your biggest problem. And most of the time when you go into the settlement program, you've already missed payments. So the credit score part's really not the problem, but they will tell you that. And you do have to be delinquent in order for the banks to negotiate. And think about it. If you're making payments on time to a creditor every month and they're able to charge you their interest rate, why would they have any incentive to settle with you? I mean, that's just money, free money coming into them now. And so that's why they make you fall behind. So that's one problem. The other problem is if they can't settle with all 5 of these creditors and now you've fallen behind, right? Let's say you're still in the process of settling with creditor A. You're still trying to pay that first $5,000 in. Well, creditor D, who said no to the deal, they're not going to settle with you. After not 10 months, but after 2 or 3, 4, 5 months, they're probably going to sue you. And then they're going to get a judgment against you. And the first thing they're going to do, if you're working, is they're going to try and get a wage garnishment attached so that they can take 25% of your paycheck. Well, if they're taking 25% of your paycheck, can you still afford to pay the debt settlement people? Probably not. So now the entire program implodes and you're right back where you were, but you're out a few $1,000s that you wouldn't have been out had you not done this. So that's another big problem. And so you have to be careful going into these things that you know what the success rate is. That the company that you're talking to looks and sees and tells you, I can guarantee I can settle with all these creditors, and get that guarantee in writing.